The start of a new version is upon us, and so I've taken it upon myself to create as comprehensive a guide as I can for new or returning players. Today, I'll cover everything you need to know about Honkai Star Rail, ranging from how basic game mechanics work, how to min-max certain aspects, and so much more. Stick with me folks, because this is going to be a long one. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, become a member down below, and let's get into it. Let's pause real quick and take a brief word from our sponsor, LD Shop. With so many good characters coming out soon, many players simply don't have the jades they need to get them all. Now, if only there was a cheaper way to get top-ups for games like Star Rail and ZZZ. Well, that's where the sponsor of the video comes in, LD Shop. LD Shop is a safe and reliable top-up site for all your favorite games. They offer top-ups at a more affordable price than in-game, and can even activate your first top-up bonus if you haven't used it already. All you have to do is click the bundle you want, put in your server and UID, and your top-up will appear in-game shortly after. If you buy using my link as well, you can get a 5% and 15% coupon good for $50. Last but not least, if you consistently use LD Shop and spend over $80 for the month, you can get an express supply pass completely free on your homepage. Use the link in the description or the pinned comment. Thank you so much to LD Shop for sponsoring. Let's get back to the video. Now, I make it no secret that Brax was a huge inspiration for me as I was growing my channel, and this video is definitely meant to emulate even a bit of what he did. Just wanted to say that before I get, well, you know, by the comments. The first thing I want to talk about that I think every player should understand is what the hell Honkai Star Rail even is. What type of game, how it works, and what you should expect when getting into it. HSR is a turn-based RPG released in 2023, and if I was going to give any single comparison for the game style, I would probably say Persona is the closest popular game series. With a heavy focus on the story, increasing your own stats constantly, a beautiful graphical style, and 4 members of a team all meant to work together, Persona offers quite a few similarities, despite a very noticeable distinction in how the games work. In HSR, you'll have a team of 4 characters on the field, all trying to defeat enemies that can all have differing mechanics and abilities, with many needing completely different teams to best be taken care of. Each of your characters follows a path, which dictates how their mechanics work usually. Destruction is a damaging path that focuses on blast or 3 target attacks. Hunt is a damaging path that focuses on high single target damage and often follow-up attacks. Preservation is a sustain path that focuses on shielding the fellow party members from harm. Abundance is a sustain path that focuses on healing away any damage taken by your team. Harmony is a support path that specializes in strengthening your allies or even unlocking all new mechanics. Nihility is a mixed path, consisting of characters who focus on debuffs to either deal damage or weaken enemies substantially. Erudition is a damaging path that is designed to deal damage to all enemies on the field. Last but not least, we have Remembrance and Elation, 2 paths that focus on being jack-of-all-trades paths with unique mechanics, combining everything we've talked about into new designs and characters. This probably sounds like a lot to take in all at once, but trust me, going in and playing the game is the best way to understand the complexity behind all of these things. We can now move on to one of the other most essential aspects of HSR, getting characters. This is a gacha game, and for those of you who don't know what that means, it means you essentially need to gamble to get things. Specifically for HSR, you can pull for characters and light cones, which are basically weapons from other games. To do this, you go to this screen with the different warp banners available. Within these banners, there will always be at least 1 premium character and a light cone, meaning they can only be pulled for while their banner is active. There's also the standard banner, a banner using different pulls that is available at all times. In HSR, the gacha works like this. To get a character, you can go to a maximum of 90 pulls, which you will then receive a 5-star character, guaranteed. You won't always go to 90, with every single pull having a chance to grant you a 5-star, that's just the number where you are guaranteed to receive a 5-star. You will notice though, I said a 5-star, and not the 5-star. These 90 pulls grant you a 50-50 chance of getting the character you want, or a base game 5-star from the Lost Pool. There are a few extra options besides the standard banner characters, but that's the best way to explain it. When it comes to the light cone banner, your odds are a little different. The pull chance is 75-25, with something guaranteed at 80 pulls. This chance being lower is honestly pretty helpful, allowing you to likely get a complete character if you have enough pulls saved up. However, there is the chance to lose, so what happens when that occurs? Losing on either banner now guarantees you get the character or weapon you're going for. meaning that the next time you get lucky enough to receive a 5-star, it will be the one you wanted. This means if you lose on a character and don't have enough to get them right now, you can wait to pull and use your guarantee on the next character you want. It does suck to lose, obviously, but all things considered, not the worst gacha system to exist, that's for sure. This also serves as a perfect segue into our next big topic, characters. There are over 80 characters in HSR, with 2 more being added as part of version 4.0. If I sat here and explained every single character in depth to you, this video would last long enough to make it to version 5.0. Instead, I want to highlight the characters you're guaranteed to get from the game, since these characters can often help you identify what you like and what you look for in a character. We can first start with all of our standard banner characters. As of now, none of these characters really excel anymore, but some are still incredible choices in current day. On our standard banner, we have Welt, Himiko, Yanqing, Bailu, Bronya, Clara, and Japard. While all of these characters are helpful for early and even mid-game, as you play longer, just about every single one becomes outclassed by some other character. Don't let that stop you from using them though, as these characters can still be helpful for a very long time. As a fun fact, I managed to clear the hardest current content in the game with Bailu as my healer, so don't ever let your memes be dreams, kids. Now, let's get into what these characters all do. Welt is an Nihility attacker who essentially serves as a DPS character nowadays. He has a unique playstyle relying on slow and can inflict great damage in certain scenarios. Himiko is arguably the second best standard character, as she has a mechanic that lends itself perfectly to the Super Break team type. She unleashes powerful follow-up attacks constantly, destroying groups of enemies with ease. Yanqing? He's Yanqing. He's a single target attacker who enjoys not being hit to allow for powerful buffs, including a follow-up attack to do more damage. Bailu is a pretty powerful healer who actually holds up fairly well in terms of raw healing ability. She also has a revive, so if any of your party goes down, she can bring them back a single time when you first get her. Bronya is almost unanimously the best of the standard banner characters. She offers powerful buffs to a single character, and can make them the next character to go whenever her turn comes around. She is something known as an action advancer, one of the most pivotal support type roles in this game for many good teams. Now we move on to Clara, a DPS character who is reliant upon countering her enemies. This is a unique style that only exists within her and 2 other characters, meaning she's at least the 3rd best at it in Star Rail. While not the most optimal nowadays, her unique style does shine in some specific fights. Lastly is Japard, a shielder. While Bailu restores your health from getting hit, Japard tries to make sure you don't get hit in the first place. His shields aren't the strongest nowadays, but he can still offer them to the entire party, and can even self-revive to keep himself in the fight. These standard banner characters are far from the best in the game, but they do all have some relative value. For Bronya and Himiko specifically, however, these are the characters you can still use today fairly regularly. Long story short, if you have the opportunity to grab one of these 2 for free, go for it. Although, if you're grabbing extra copies, only go for Bronya. Himiko's extra copies are about as helpful as a screen door on a submarine. With the standard banner covered, I want to now talk about 3 more very important free characters. I mean, 3 is a bit misleading since technically it's 2 forms of the same character. The characters I want to talk about now are ones you are guaranteed to receive during your time playing HSR. March 7th Hunt, Harmony Trailblazer, and Remembrance Trailblazer. These 3 units are alternate forms of some of your main characters, and are incredibly powerful and useful to say the least. Let's start with March 7th Hunt. This is an alternative form of March 7th that will be acquired when you do the Trailblaze continuance on the Xianzhou Luofu. No, not that continuance, this one.
So feeble, such weakness is truly pathetic.
This form of March, as a shock to no one, follows the Hunt path, and is an incredibly powerful character, considering she's a 4-star. Her strength lies in her versatility, being a character that can serve as a powerful sub-DPS, or as a main DPS in break teams. She also has a very solid design that allows her to consistently provide skill points for your team, only needing 1 for the entire fight in 99% of scenarios. She is easily the strongest DPS character you can get in the base game in my opinion, and is absolutely worthy of your effort if you need a good character. You will progressively unlock these throughout the game, and they both power incredibly strong teams. One of them being a super break team, which relies on, well, breaking your opponents. And for the other one, Remembrance MC is simply an incredibly powerful buffer who can make any character do immense damage with his unique buff, True Damage. True Damage does exist in other places, but RMC is a completely free character, so it's definitely a bit of an advantage that way. Use these two forms as you can, and you will do a lot better with this game. Even with all that, we still aren't done talking about characters for today. But before I go any further, we need to discuss archetypes. Team archetypes are arguably the most important thing to understand with games like these. Picking characters that synergize well together and understanding what to look for can help you construct and improve your first team and create new ones in the future. There are as many archetypes as I have reasons to hate the patriarchy, so I'll give you a quick synopsis of each of these team types and some characters who fit into them. Let's start with the most common archetype, Hyper Carry. This is a team type consisting of a single DPS character with two supports backing them up. Hyper Carry is a pretty general term, but for the most part, if one character is doing most of your damage, it's probably a Hyper Carry team. Examples would be Aglaya, Firefly, Anexa, and Finon. The next archetype is Dual DPS. This is technically Hyper Carry too, but I do consider it a different archetype altogether since the character choices can be very different. These team types consist of a main carry and then a sub DPS to help with their damage output. The teams you'll see under this branch are Fei Xiao teams, the Herda, Casterus teams, and more. Also, if you want to argue about Fei Xiao, she can be played both ways, I just don't want to hear it. Our next archetype is Break. Break technically overlaps with Hyper Carry, but the damage type it deals and the characters you need are specific to this archetype. Break focuses on, again, breaking your enemies. Super Break is incredibly powerful, and since the inclusion of the Dahlia, these teams have been back on top in terms of being a meta pick. Break characters you'll typically see include Firefly, Boothill, Rappa, Zhuyi, and March 7th Hunt as the more budget option. Let's say you don't want to conventionally fight your enemies, and you would rather just, see them cough over and die from the common flu. Well, DOT is the perfect team for you. This archetype consists of dealing powerful damage over time effects and detonating them to do increased damage to your enemies. There's very little diversity within this team type, but it's a powerful one to say the least. Although, if you don't like the character Hysilens or don't have her, then you're gonna struggle. Technically, another archetype is Follow-Up, but Follow-Up exists in unison with dual DPS teams now, or even Hyper Carry in some instances, and it's sadly been somewhat abandoned as of late. For that reason, we won't be talking about them as much, since most of the advice for dual DPS usually applies to Follow-Up. Now, we can finally discuss some 5 stars and their value. This is a deeply important section, as quite frankly, people need to know, not every character is created equal in HSR. It's a harsh reality, but true nonetheless. They've taken a few steps to amend this, actively buffing characters back into relevance for a bit, but there are still only a few characters where this is the case. Keep that in mind and know that most early game characters are in fact worse than newer characters. With that said, I'll talk about some premier options and why they're so good so players can understand what to look for and value in this game. Let's start with Finon. Finon is one of the premier hyper carry of HSR currently, with a flashy moveset, amazing value, and not horrendous team building requirements. Finon's ultimate is how he does all his damage, and that ult is activated by having teammates use abilities on him. This is an extremely generic requirement, opening him up to plenty of different teammates. Some of his best options overall aren't the hardest to acquire either. Danheng PT is a sustain character given out for free that should still be available during 4.0. Bronya is a standard banner character, so she isn't the worst to get either. Lastly, RMC is a good choice for Finon and is completely free by playing through the game. Your only character that you really want above everything else is the support character Saridra, who has the power to duplicate Finon's strongest attack. With his team constructed, Finon is a powerful character capable of decimating all hard content in this game. It may require some team changes or things being switched around, but he can definitely do it. These are the type of characters I personally recommend to beginning players. Characters who are versatile and can succeed no matter the scenario. There aren't many of these in HSR, but there are some good characters there for sure. Your other options in this realm, in my humble opinion, are Anexa, Evernight, and the Herda. These three, alongside Finon, are solid characters who can do a lot for your team, without needing too much from you. There are characters who, conversely, need a lot and can dominate just as hard if they are properly invested into. Ideally, finding a character and building around them completely is the best way to succeed and have fun in HSR. And the characters who really exemplify this are Casterus, DOT with Hysilens, and any break team. These teams are all very good, but require at least 2 other premium characters to really succeed. That isn't a bad thing per se, it's simply important to note since that means these teams require more dedication from the player. Realistically, this also applies to the game at large. Many characters with enough investment into them can do amazing things. On screen right now, you are seeing Topaz, a version 1.x character who has not been buffed or designed as a main DPS. Beat the boss Cocolia. This is because I got a good team for her and invested into her as well. Not every character can do this against every boss naturally, but most characters are capable of far more if you put in the full investment, or if you just spend. That too. Now, I spent all this time explaining 5 stars, but it's unlikely you'll get many of those in your early phases. To mitigate that disadvantage, using 4 stars is going to be at the top of your priority list. Just like 5 stars though, all 4 stars are not created equal. There is a pretty noticeable gap in between good ones and bad ones as well, which makes it easy to talk about, but pretty sad honestly, considering a good 2/3 of the 4 stars in this game are just straight up raccoons digging in back alley trash can levels of useful. Let's go over the best ones for players to use and go for if they appear on banners. The top 5 here are Tingyun, Gallagher, Pela, Herta, and Serval. Luckily, you get Herta and Serval for free just by playing the game, so it's really just the first 3 to worry about. Herta and Serval are both AoE damage dealers who pair well with the Herta, but also do decently in the game mode Pure Fiction. This mode focuses on AoE combat, and these two excel in this, meaning you can get some extra jades and points early on. Gallagher is God's most faithful rescue dog, keeping you healed up constantly when you attack the enemy. If that fails though, he's got a great backup plan. Shotgunning a whole beer to somehow heal you through sheer force of will? Yep, that's my goat everybody. He is still to this day a solid sustain option, so grabbing him is always a positive. Tingyun and Pela are both supports who excel in wildly different things. Tingyun increases energy and attack of your main DPS, helping them deal way more damage. Pela lowers enemy defense substantially, to make them take more damage from whoever is attacking them. These characters are both great supports who find their usage in different spots. Tingyun can be found with a Nexa or Finon, and Pela can be found with Casterus or Acheron. Great choices overall, and always worth the pickup even 4 versions in. What's that you say? How about the other 4 stars? Well, getting close to our final section here. Next thing I want to knock out is Relics and Traces. All I have to say about Traces is, always do these first. They are what empower your character heavily, and are very vital to doing solid damage, supporting well, or sustaining well. The most popular method is usually level up your core Traces to 8, and then come back to finish them later. I'm not a fan of this personally, but it does work well, so to each their own. I'm not your dad, I'm not going to stop you. As for Relics, I've recently made videos dedicated entirely to this concept, so I don't want to spend too long on it, but there is some basic advice to go over associated with grinding. First of all, don't start seriously relic grinding until you've gotten a bit further into the game. Low-level blue relics leveled all the way up can take you through most of the story until probably Amphorius. Not to mention, you'll eventually get purple and gold relics in chests and can use those as extra stat boosts. Once you've unlocked the ability to start getting gold relics on your own, that's when you can look into grinding to improve your builds. Just grinding mindlessly though isn't fun for anyone, so trying to optimize it to make your life just that little bit better is worth the effort. Some experienced players will always tell you, oh, you gotta grind Scholar specifically, oh, you gotta go get Eagle set, and then you gotta get it with Von Wag, you're gonna be bricked without it. Yeah, don't listen to them. Most players do not know how to scale advice at all, is what I've learned. They just tell you things and call you stupid for not understanding. No jokes or bits for this section. I'm going to explain this as simply and as honestly as I can. There are countless relic sets in this game, but quite a few have become obsolete with no character preferring them. There is an in-game guide that is very helpful for telling you what relic sets a character likes. You can follow that, and it will be helpful 90% of the time. Another tip for maximizing your grinding is seeing what most characters that you want to use on your account like. If you have a lot of characters who can use break sets like Zhuyi, Sushong, Himiko, and all the other premium break DPSs, grinding for break set for a while is a good choice. If you have a lot of skill-heavy DPS characters, Scholar Lost in Erudition is also a good choice. Evaluating your account and determining what's best from there is never the wrong move. Some general best relic sets that most characters can use are Scholar, Sacerdos, Wavestrider Captain, Warrior Goddess, and that's about it for non-min-maxers. Take this advice with a grain of salt, and remember to listen to yourself and what your account needs over what people yell at you to do. We've done it, folks! Play Sweet Victory, our final segment of the day. The last thing to talk about today is a concept that honestly deserves a whole video to itself: how to properly pull. I've done a whole video about this in the past, but even that wasn't in-depth enough. Pulling is a very specific process that requires a Harvard degree and at least 2 astrophysicists to manage successfully. But I'll do my best to explain to all of you new players out there. I want to make it clear off rip: if you are playing for fun and story, do not worry too much. This part of the video is entirely for people who want to tackle endgame hard content and don't want to be stonewalled too hard by the game from getting those results. There are 3 core pieces of advice to follow. Number 1, do not pull on every banner or every update. This is something players everywhere struggle with and do not understand in the slightest. I was the same way for a while too, but I ended up becoming a content creator, so I can just kind of write off pulls I do for videos. Yippee! Pulling every character in HSR is not beneficial as a free-to-play player. You would think having more characters open would be super helpful, allowing you to unlock so many new combos, but no, it's really not that good, sadly. The way HSR works, having full teams instead of one singular character is far more important, and for many characters, having their signature light cone often means completing their kit. This is something that has become more common over time, but not having a character's light cone often means missing a core part of their gameplay. The biggest examples are the Remembrance Path, the Herda, and the new Elation characters. There are some ways to substitute, or sometimes Eidolons can help a bit more, but for the most part, this is the reality we live in. At minimum, you should be saving for at least 2 updates. This often gives you enough pulls to guarantee a character if you lose, or get the character, and a pretty likely chance to get their light cone. It sucks not being able to get every new cool character, but that method really leads to a lot of useless characters and pointless pulls. The useless character mention leads us directly to our second piece of advice: pick a team and focus. Every character in this game can be viable to a degree, and if you're not doing endgame immediately, you have plenty of time to save up. Find your one DPS that you really like and invest into them. Pull them and wait for the chance to pull their best supports. Then keep saving for when they or their best supports come around again and get copies to make them even better. This is called vertical investment and is the easiest way to succeed in HSR for the most part. Not every character will be able to do this perfectly or will benefit quite as much, but overall it's a wiser choice than not to succeed with hard content. You'll also notice I was talking about one team the entire time. I stand on the point that you should really focus on specifically one team at a time until you feel it's in a good spot. 2 teams are required for all normal endgame content, but having 2 half-ass teams is going to cause you to struggle in the future. This way, while long, is relatively reliable. The final piece of advice: don't feel pressured to pull everything optimal or pull everything immediately. Very rarely do characters not come back soon after their initial banner. Sorry, Rappa. If you're strapped for pulls on a solid boost for your team, it's okay to wait it out until they come back so you have more time to prepare. Also, if something else comes up in that time that works better for your account, you'll be able to get that character instead and still come out of your situation a winner. Patience is a virtue when it comes to pulling, and understanding that is half the battle for players. These tips are far from perfect, but I hope they help you in the future with all your pull-related needs and get you closer to the goal you aspire to reach. Dear sweet Akavili in heaven above, we are done. That wraps up my beginner guide for HSR 4.0. This was a fair bit of effort in both writing and the editing room, so I really hope you all enjoyed. I also hope the tips and advice were in fact helpful, as I'm going off of my own experience, thoughts from my Discord, and general perceptions that I see online. There's genuinely so much that I left out, but I wanted to hit on important points first and foremost, since that's what new or returning players will need the most. If you think there wasn't enough covered, or there's still something you're confused about, leave a comment or join our Discord community where plenty of lovely people will be willing to help you out. With that said, I've got plenty more good videos coming out soon, so I will see you guys then. Bye bye!